In the early 1970s, the streets of Kabul were characterized by a bustling, cosmopolitan energy. Afghanistan was a modernizing monarchy, enjoying a period of relative peace and cultural vibrancy. The nation's stability was anchored by King Mohammad Zahir Shah, whose decades-long reign provided a steady baseline of political sovereignty and incremental progress. Inside a wealthy Kabul home, we see this national tranquility mirrored in a micro-dynamic, the childhood friendship between a privileged boy named Amir and his family's servant, Hassan. They spend their days reading stories, roaming the neighborhood, and operating as a tightly coordinated duo. This chart illustrates the rigid social stratification underlying their bond in 1970s Afghanistan. Amir is a Pashtun, the ruling ethnic majority, while Hassan is a Hazara, a historically marginalized minority pushed to the bottom of the social ladder. Both the stability of the country and the loyalty between the two boys existed in spite of deep systemic inequalities that were already beginning to fracture the foundation beneath them. During the winter months, the Kabul skyline filled with fighting kites. The annual tournament was a vibrant cultural touchstone, and for Amir, winning it was the only way he knew how to secure the affection of his emotionally distant father, Baba. When Amir finally wins, Hassan runs to retrieve the defeated kite, only to be cornered in an alley by an older boy named SF. When Amir finds them, he watches SF brutally assault Hassan. Instead of intervening, Amir turns around and runs away in silence. This chart tracks Amir's moral integrity and Afghanistan's political stability. Both maintain a high baseline throughout the early 70s. But in 1973, a coup overthrows the monarchy, perfectly coinciding with Amir's failure. Both lines plummet simultaneously. Unable to look at Hassan and be reminded of his own cowardice, Amir hides a watch and money under Hassan's mattress, framing him for theft. Hassan falsely confesses to protect Amir, prompting him and his father to leave the estate permanently. By driving Hassan away, Amir creates a moral vacuum in his childhood home. At the same time, the fall of the monarchy creates a power vacuum in the government. Both environments are stripped of stabilizing forces, leaving them wide open for the violence that follows. By the end of the decade, the Soviet Union invades Afghanistan. The streets of Kabul go from hosting kite tournaments to absorbing tank fire, transforming the once peaceful city into an active war zone. Hundreds of thousands of Afghans are forced to flee. Amir and Baba are smuggled in the back of a truck, navigating a hellish mountainous route to find refuge across the border in Pakistan. 2 years later, they resettle in Fremont, California. Baba works at a local gas station, trading his wealth and status for the quiet safety of the American working class, while Amir finishes high school and builds a new life. They successfully put thousands of miles between themselves and the physical destruction of their homeland. Yet the psychological weight of Amir's unspoken guilt followed them directly into the diaspora, keeping him anchored to that winter in 1973. Faster, more urgently, years later, Amir receives a call from Baba's old friend, Rahim Khan, summoning him back to Pakistan. Rahim Khan reveals two devastating truths. Hassan and his wife have been murdered by the Taliban, and Hassan was actually Amir's biological half-brother. To rescue Hassan's orphaned son, Sarab, Amir crosses back into a Kabul he barely recognizes. The city is now controlled by the Taliban, its landscape defined by rubble, religious extremism, and men patrolling the streets with assault rifles. Amir tracks the official who took Sarab to a local soccer stadium, arriving just in time to witness the Taliban stoning a man and a woman to death at halftime. When Amir finally secures a meeting with the official, he realizes he is looking directly at his childhood tormentor, Asif. Asif immediately recognizes Amir. He slips on a pair of brass knuckles and beats Amir severely, breaking his ribs and splitting his lip. For Amir, the physical agony is a relief, a long-delayed, necessary punishment for his silence 26 years earlier. The beating only stops when Sohrab draws a slingshot and fires a brass ball directly into Asif's eye, perfectly echoing how his father, Hassan, once used a slingshot to protect Amir in the streets of Kabul. Amir couldn't erase his guilt by simply moving to California and building a career. True atonement required him to physically return to the site of his deepest failure and face the exact violence he had spent 3 decades avoiding. Extracting Sohrab from Afghanistan does not magically erase what the boy has endured. Despite escaping the immediate physical danger, Sohrab remains heavily traumatized, mute, and suicidal. The systemic barriers of international adoption compound this misery. Because Amir cannot formally prove Sohrab's parents are dead, officials threaten to place the boy back into the orphanage system, a terrifying prospect that drives Sohrab to attempt suicide before Amir and his wife finally secure his passage to America. The damage from a collapsed nation and a fractured family doesn't vanish simply because the geography changes. The trauma is passed down to the next generation, proving that recovery will be a slow, painstaking process. Sometime later, Amir takes Sohrab to a park in California, where local Afghan families have gathered. High overhead, kites are fighting, a quiet testament to a culture sustaining itself far from home. Amir buys a kite and coaxes Sohrab to hold the string. When another kite challenges them, Amir executes Hassan's classic maneuver. They sever the opponent's string, and for the first time in months, a small smile appears on Sohrab's face. As the defeated kite drifts away, Amir turns to the boy and sets off across the park to retrieve it. He actively steps into the exact role of the loyal servant he once discarded. You cannot undo a betrayal, just as you cannot reverse the collapse of a nation. But by choosing to run the kite for Sohrab, Amir demonstrates the only path forward, taking an active, daily role in repairing the future.